This is chapter 1, and it's called Dirty Dishes in the Cupboard. My daughter and her husband and my 4 grandchildren lived with Mommy. My mother had a very nice home, and it was located in an impoverished area of the city of Chicago, an area called Inglewood. She lived across the street from a church called St. Rita of Kasha, and my mother had lived there for many, many, many years with my father before he passed away in 2003. So when Daddy died, my mother was in the house alone, and my daughter and her husband and my grandbabies, they needed a place to stay, so they wound up moving in with my mother. They were all very happy. My mother loved my daughter very much. In fact, she helped to raise my daughter after she was born. So my mother loved my daughter very much. She adored my grandchildren, and she loved my daughter's husband, Scott. I remember Mommy was doing really well before she became very ill. She was doing particularly well for someone in their mid-70s, mid to late 70s. She was getting around on her own. She was, dressing herself. She was cooking. She was going on her front porch, having her little cigarette and her coffee, or her 7-Up, which she loved. And she was doing fine. But then she started doing things, according to my daughter and my grandchildren, that were really out of character. And they would tell me about these things. Mommy would forget where she put something, or she would repeat herself. Things like that you kind of chalk up to old age. But then, Mommy started doing strange things, and they were so strange that they were really disturbing to my grandchildren, especially my oldest granddaughter, Scarlett. I call her Pumpkin Cake. And she called me, Pumpkin Cake called me, and she said, "Grandma Pookie." They call me Grandma Pookie because my parents called me Pookie when I was little. So she called me and she said, "Grandma Pookie, Danmai," which is what my daughter and my grandchildren call my mother, Dan Mommy. She said, "Dan Mommy is acting very strange. She's putting dishes in the cupboard." And I just thought, "No, okay. What's so strange about putting dishes in the cupboard? That's what you do with them, right?" And she said, "No, Grandma Pookie, she's putting them in the cupboard and they're dirty." And I was like, "What?" So I knew, and my granddaughter went, she went on and on. She said, they're neatly stacked, the dishes and the cups and the knives, forks, and spoons are where they're supposed to. Thing is where it's supposed to be, Grandma Pookie, but it's all dirty. And so when I heard this, I thought, okay, this is not just old age. Something else is going on. And of course, I'd heard about dementia, persons with dementia, with Alzheimer's, which is another form of dementia. I'd heard those stories, but with Mommy? No. Mommy had always been a very strong, independent woman. She had me when she was 17 years old. which is when she married my father, who was 18 years old. She had 4 children with my father, me, my sister, and my 2 brothers. My brothers are doctors, and I was a teacher. And my sister was married and had her son. And, when we were all little, Mommy had to work to take care of all of us. And she had to do it on her own primarily because Daddy was an alcoholic. He was a wonderful father and a good husband, but he had an illness. He was an alcoholic. And so he didn't always go to work steadily. And then all of a sudden he was diagnosed with bone disease. So on top of taking care of all of us, Mommy had to take care of our father too. So she had to be especially strong. And she was like a little dynamo. She never seemed to get tired. She was working full-time jobs. She was getting us ready for school, taking us to school. She never missed a parent-teachers conference. She never missed anything. And when I was little, I don't even think I realized that Mommy wasn't at home because of the way she spaced her jobs. She would work a job during the day while we were in school, and then she had another job that she was at while we were sleeping. I don't know how she did it. I don't. But she did. And she did a wonderful job. We were Catholic. We were poor, but we didn't even know we were poor because we always had everything we needed and more. She dressed us beautifully. We were in private school. She was wonderful, just a wonderful, wonderful, strong mother. Catholic. We were all Catholic. I may have said that. I forgot. And so to hear these things happening with Mommy was so disheartening, so sad for me. But I had to see for myself what was going on. So I told my daughter, I'm going to be coming there a few days a week to see about Mommy. Because I have to see this for myself. And so I did. It may have taken... I don't think I came there the first week after hearing about all of this. I think I became chicken. I chickened out. I packed my things to go there for a few days, and then I just sat with my things packed, crying because I didn't want to see what I knew I'd probably see. But then I thought, okay, you got to pull your head out of your ass and do what you need to do and go and see about your mother, see what's going on. And so I did. And Mommy seemed fine. She seemed like herself, but she clearly wasn't herself. She was my mother, and she was acting okay. She would say things that she lost things on occasion. She had taken some of my daughter's husband's things and said she didn't, and he would find them in the refrigerator in places where they shouldn't have been, and Mommy would swear that she hadn't touched them. And I had heard these things, and even going to see Mommy, I really hadn't experienced any of it. I'd seen the dirty dirt, but I hadn't experienced anything for myself. Not yet. But eventually I did. And I was scared and so nervous and just wondering what's happening to my mother, who I love so deeply. I did notice though, well, I won't get ahead of myself, because what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to think of all of the things that happened in my journey with Mommy, and and relay them as memories, more like short stories, so that I'm not just going on, and that you have an opportunity to hear what I experienced with my mother without it having to take up a lot of your time, because I'm sure that you're busy with your families and work and whatever you have to do, and especially if you're also a caregiver, you may not have time to listen to a lot. So that's what I'm doing. These are basically my memories, with titles, and they're all put together to tell this story of my journey with Mommy. So this is how I wound up getting to my mother's house, after being told what was going on with her, and eventually seeing what I saw for myself. That was the beginning of, I don't want to say the beginning of the end, but it was definitely the beginning of something that I don't think I ever would have believed I would be prepared for at that time. Because it's amazing what you can do when something is presenting itself to you and you're thinking, I cannot do this. I can't do this. And for those of you who are saying, I can't do this, there's no way I can do this, I'm telling you, you can. You can do it. You can do it by yourself, because you're not really going to do it by yourself if you believe in a higher power, as I do. You're not going to be alone. But you will maybe have to do it by yourself if you're a caregiver. You just might. I had to. But it will be okay, which is why I'm doing this in Mommy's memory. So this is the end of chapter 1.